As someone who has been investing for nearly a decade, if I was starting from absolute scratch today, no portfolio, no investments, just a blank slate, here is exactly what I would do. I have made my fair share of rookie mistakes when I first started, things I look back on now and cringe at. And if I could go back knowing what I know after almost 10 years in investment banking and finance, I would do some things very, very differently. So, in this video, I want to walk you through the 7 steps I would take if I was beginning my investing journey from zero in 2026. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to build real confidence as a new investor, avoid the traps that catch out most beginners, and set yourself up for genuine long-term financial freedom starting right now. Step 1 is to get your financial house in order. Here's a stat that might surprise you. Nearly 40% of adults cannot cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money. And this is exactly the kind of thing that causes new investors to fail before they have even really started. Because if something goes wrong, your car breaks down, you have an unexpected medical bill, life just happens, and you do not have cash set aside, you will be forced to pull money out of your investments at potentially the worst possible time. A market dip, a downturn, a moment when selling is the last thing you should be doing. That is why, if I was starting from scratch today, I would not open an investment account or buy a single stock until 3 things were in place. First, I would clear any high interest debt: credit cards, store cards, personal loans, anything with an interest rate above around 8%. Investing in the stock market while carrying expensive debt is like filling a hot water bottle with a hole in it. The water is your money, the hot water bottle is your investment account, and that hole is your debt. Credit cards often carry interest rates of 20 to 40%. The long-run average return of the S&P 500 is around 8 to 10% per year. The maths is not complicated. You are losing money faster than your investments can grow. Pay off the high-interest debt first. You will be financially better off every single time. Second, I would build an emergency fund. At least 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account that I can access easily. I know that is not what you want to hear if you are excited to start investing, but it is a non-negotiable step because it is what allows you to stay invested when things get volatile. When your basics are covered, you can ride out a market dip calmly. When they are not, panic takes over, and panic is the most expensive thing you can do as an investor. Third, I would make sure my income and spending are stable and that I know exactly how much I can invest each month without putting myself under any pressure. Because the moment investing feels like a financial strain, it stops being consistent, and consistency is the entire game. If you are currently paying off debt or building your emergency fund, do not see that as delaying your investing journey. See it as level 1 of your wealth building plan. Get the foundation right, and everything that follows works far better. Step 2 is to define your goals and your time horizon. According to a survey of 10,000 investors, fewer than a third had any specific long-term goals in mind when they started investing. And honestly, that does not surprise me at all. Most people start investing because they have heard it is the smart thing to do, but they have never really stopped to ask what they are actually investing for. They open an app, pick a few funds or a trending stock, and hope for the best. Then, when the market dips or they hear a recession rumor on the news, they sell and end up worse off than when they started. So, the very first question I would ask myself before putting a single dollar to work is, what am I actually investing for? Retiring early, buying a home, building generational wealth, traveling the world without financial stress? Your goal dictates everything: the type of account you use, the level of risk you take, and how you react when things inevitably get bumpy along the way. Here's the most important principle when it comes to goals and time horizons. If you need the money within the next 5 years, a house deposit, a wedding, a big life expense, keep it in cash or a high-yield savings account. Investments tend to outperform savings over the long run, but in the short term, the ride can be rough and you do not want to be forced to sell at the wrong moment. But if your goal is 5 years away or more, invest it. Because the longer your money stays invested, the more the short-term volatility smooths out and the higher your chances of building real wealth. A $2,666 investment in global shares between April 2020 and April 2025 grew to $4,926. The same amount in cash over the same period grew to just $1,714. That gap over time is the difference between financial freedom and financial mediocrity. Step 3 is to choose the right investment account. This is where most beginners hit a wall. There are so many account types that it is easy to fall into analysis paralysis, researching one option, then another, and ending up weeks later having done nothing. So let me cut through it. If you are employed, start by making the most of your workplace 401k, specifically to at least the level of your employer match. If your employer matches 5% of your contributions and you are putting in less than 5%, you are leaving free money on the table. That match is an immediate 50% or 100% return on your contribution before your investments have done anything at all. There is no investment strategy in the world that beats that. Once you are getting the full employer match, the next account to prioritize is a Roth IRA. This is a tax-advantaged account where you invest money you have already paid tax on, and then every dollar of growth, every dividend, every gain comes out completely tax-free in retirement. Over 20 or 30 years, the difference between paying tax on your gains every year versus paying nothing on them is enormous. We are talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars on the same underlying investments. Check the current contribution limits and aim to max it out. Then, if you still have money to invest beyond that, a standard taxable brokerage account is your next step. If you are self-employed, look into a solo 401k or a SEPIRA, which give you similar tax advantages without employer contributions. The specific wrapper matters less than the habit of using tax-advantaged accounts wherever possible. Step 4 is to start small and be consistent. Here is a number that surprises almost everyone I share it with. If you invest just $100 a month and earn an average annual return of 8%, after 30 years, you will have over $140,000. You will have contributed $36,000 yourself. The rest, more than $100,000, will have been generated entirely by compounding. That is your money making money, then that money making more money, over and over again, without you lifting a finger. The reason most people never get there is not because they cannot afford to invest. It is because they are scared of getting it wrong. A survey by Barclays found that 44% of non-investors cited lack of knowledge as the main reason they had not started, and 41% said they were afraid of losing money. I completely understand that. When I first started investing, I felt exactly the same way. But here's the truth. If you start small and stay consistent and follow the principles in this video, you are very unlikely to lose money over the long run. The long run is the key phrase. Step 5 is diversification. Think of it like building a meal. You would not eat nothing but pasta for every meal of the week. Not because pasta is bad, it is great, but because your body needs variety to function properly. One ingredient cannot give you everything you need, and if something goes wrong with that one ingredient, your whole diet falls apart. Investing works the same way. If your entire portfolio is concentrated in one company, one sector, or one country, a single bad piece of news can wipe out a huge chunk of your wealth overnight. Diversification is the solution. And the simplest, most cost-effective way to diversify as a beginner is through index funds. An index fund is a collection of investments designed to track the performance of a whole market. Like the S&P 500, which covers 500 of the largest companies in the United States across technology, healthcare, energy, finance, consumer goods, and more. Instead of betting on one company doing well, you own a small piece of all of them simultaneously. When some go down, others go up, and over time, the overall trend of the market carries your portfolio forward. You never know which individual part of your portfolio will perform best in any given year. With an index fund, you do not need to know. The diversification handles it for you. Step 6 is to automate and simplify everything. Fidelity once looked at which of their clients had the best performing accounts. The answer? People who had either forgotten they had an account or had passed away. That sounds like a joke, but it is one of the most important insights in personal investing. The less you interfere with your investments, the better you tend to do. So, if I was starting from scratch today, I would set up an automatic monthly transfer from my bank account straight into my investment account on payday, before the money has any chance of being spent on anything else. This does two things. It makes investing consistent regardless of how motivated or busy or distracted you feel in any given month. And it protects you from your own emotions. When markets drop, as they inevitably will, your automatic investment goes through anyway. You end up buying at a lower price without having to make a single stressful decision. That is the entire power of dollar cost averaging working silently in your favor month after month. Stop checking your portfolio every day, stop reading the headlines, and asking yourself whether now is a good time. The goal is not to outsmart the market. The goal is to build a system that keeps you invested no matter what the market is doing. Automation is how you do that. Step 7 is to learn to stay calm when the market drops. The stock market has crashed 19 times in the last 150 years. Every single time, it has recovered and gone on to reach new highs. The problem is that when you are in the middle of a crash, it does not feel like history. It feels like you have made a catastrophic mistake, and you need to act immediately to stop the bleeding. The COVID crash in March 2020 wiped nearly 35% off the market in a matter of weeks. It recovered completely in 4 months, the fastest recovery ever recorded. The 2008 financial crisis was far worse and far slower, but investors who stayed invested through it eventually saw their portfolios recover and grow well beyond where they had been before the crash. The chart of the stock market over 100 years looks like one long upward climb with some terrifying dips that in hindsight look like tiny speed bumps. When I first started investing, I would panic every time the market moved against me. I genuinely thought I had made a terrible decision, but what I learned, and what working in banking confirmed, is that the market rewards patience and it punishes panic. Every single step we have covered in this video exists to help you stay calm when things get volatile. The emergency fund means you do not need to sell. The clear goals mean you know your timeline. The diversification means no single event can destroy you. The automation means the decision to keep investing is already made. So if I was starting from scratch in 2026, that is exactly what I would do. Get my financial foundations solid first. Define what I'm actually investing for. Open the right tax-advantaged accounts. Start small and be consistent. Diversify through index funds. Automate everything and leave it alone. And commit in advance to staying calm when things get messy, because they will, at some point, get messy. The investors who build real wealth are not the ones who picked the best stocks. They are the ones who stayed in the game long enough for compounding to do its work. If this video was helpful, subscribe. I post every week on investing, money management, and building genuine financial freedom. I will see you in the next one.